push the wrong button.
Do you cancel the whole thing?
Right, no, I went to the wrong screen. Wrong screen. Whoops. Oops.
So many technical difficulties.
Right. God. What's up, my man? How you doing?
Uh, this 3 day weekend felt like a day.
It did.
So
I fucking hate. I hate how fast it went.
yeah,
I'm like, it's 8 p.m. already, and all I did was
right.
clean the freaking house and set up Google Home, and that's always a mission.
Yeah, I, I feel like I got something done today. Bills, tax stuff. Um, Cooked dinner.
Okay,
Went to the
that's good.
gym. Went to the gym. I think that's about it. But
Nice.
the day just disappeared. They disappeared.
Oh man, I need to.
I'm
I really
sure.
need to catch up to you. I think I need to start having dinner earlier in the night. Because every time this comes around, I'm like, all right, I'm ready. It's DM chat. Let's nerd out. This is gonna be awesome. And then as soon as we start, I'm like, fuck, I'm hungry.
Yeah, I don't know that I could do this on an empty stomach.
Okay. Also, spoiler alert: I had a little bit of ice cream earlier, and I only just noticed now that my tongue is blue.
Oh, your tongue's blue. I hadn't even noticed. Oh, blue. Yeah.
Yeah, looks like I ate Thrawn's face.
Anyway, I'm sure chat's enjoying us catching up,
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Hello
talking about.
everyone. Here's some stars. Take some stars. Enjoy your points.
We'll make up for the last couple minutes by giving them stars.
Yeah, there we go. Dills made Papa Smurf. Yeah, Papa
Uh
Smurf and me, we had a good whole time.
oh. Woof.
Woof. I tell you what, though. I tell you what. His old age is catching up to him. Let me just say that.
This is taking a dark turn.
But yeah, I changed
So
the
yeah,
text. Yeah, I did. Okay, cool.
d- despite the days of the weekend going by far too quickly, yeah, how are you doing? How do you feel about yesterday?
Oh, honestly, dude, very good.
Yeah.
There was a solid moment of driving home from recording our two sessions at the studio, where I was just like, I need to just spend 10 minutes in quiet and just be just grateful, like my friends and the show that we have, and I was just yeah, it was a good moment to be like, I feel good. I feel good about all of this, and I want to take a second to like really enjoy it because it was a fun two sessions, man.
Yeah.
It really
It
was.
yeah, the everything really got pretty crazy, which our adoring fans will be able to see starting tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Things get nuts, and we were back in the studio again and had a fantastic setup and
Yeah.
cool props and miniatures and stuff like that. It was a blast, and it was one of those we talked about not terribly long ago in one of our DM chats, handling a big kind of sprawling event.
Yeah.
And you did that, and I think you did it very well. I
Thank
don't
you,
know that I could
man.
have handled that many moving parts. That
Thank
was
you, bro. I don't know what it was
well
on though,
handled.
but I was in a good mood and I was so ready to to go about it and bounce between the everything that was. God, I'm trying not to spoil anything, but
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my word, there's a lot of moving parts and it's cool. It's just dope.
There's nothing like a big grand. I'm trying to dance around broadly as well, like
I know, right?
city sprawling event
Yeah,
where party members may not be anywhere near each other.
yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. But yeah, no, it all went really well. I think I can't speak for everyone, but I think everyone had a blast.
Oh,
It
good.
was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I had a blast running
I
the entire
was.
thing. There was a lot that because I knew there was
Mhm.
a lot of what am I looking for? A lot of things that I knew you guys wouldn't see, you guys wouldn't experience, because I just planned a lot of
Oh,
things to
sure.
be as different as possible, depending on where
Yeah.
you guys go. Because it could have just been one beeline. It could have been just stay at this one area until it's done, kind of thing. but I was like, just make stuff for people to enjoy, and
Sure.
yeah, and so I was very happy with what we got to experience. But
that's all crammed into a single event. The life that kind of sums up being a DM, planning a lot of things that don't necessarily ever end up happening.
Yeah, that's true. Keep them in your back pocket.
Yeah, yeah. You can always come up later. You can adjust. That's a good little, I guess, DM tip there. Just because the players didn't encounter something you were hoping they would, you can always maybe drop something similar in later on in a different setting, or who knows, maybe they come back to that area and there's another opportunity.
Yeah, very often things can be reworked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll probably talk a little bit about that today.
Yeah, most likely. This will probably come up. I mean, traveling, depending on where you are, you could use a lot of recycled things and put them out here. Or at least encounter ideas, I'm sure. Could be an easy way to go about planting them in.
Yeah. So we're talking today, I'm going to see what you put up here. Traveling, making it interesting and different.
Yeah. And when I say different, I mean different over a period of time. So it's not, you know, you walk over a place, there's a possible monster encounter, or you roll to see what they encounter, kind of things. Like, how do you now and then switch it up and make it just a little bit more interesting?
Yeah, just different from the last time they took a trip or whatever is enough to make it slightly more interesting. And before we get started, again, chat, feel free to chime in if you had anything interesting that happened in one of your games that made travel interesting, or a way that a DM handled or a GM handled getting from one place to another in an interesting manner. Please. Or if you have any questions, of course, we're keeping an eye on a lot of exclamation points, jumps, bombs, congratulating each other. Yeah, a lot going on there. I guess first I would say traveling, there's one thing, as a DM, don't feel pressure to make anything happen, because sometimes just for the sake of brevity, or because you don't need to make traveling, especially once the players have been in a campaign for a long time, sometimes it's just, okay, it takes you a couple of days to get to the next location. Is there anything you want to do during that time period?
Yeah, do you guys want to talk about anything at the campfire?
Right. That's one of the things I was going to actually bring up too, is traveling is a great opportunity to have good role-play moments. You know, what are they doing when they're on this trip? There's a lot of downtime. You're walking next to each other. You're riding in a cart. You're sitting by a campfire. Generally, you're not going to stop for the day and then immediately all just pass out and go to sleep. You're going to cook dinner. You're going to work on a project. Whatever.
Yeah, hunt.
Lots of opportunity for good role play to open up during travel. Yeah. But sometimes as a DM, you do have to maybe plant that seed or coax that out. It's like, okay, so you're all sitting around the fire. What are you doing? If you needed to have any conversations,
you would like to do to help out the setting up of your camp.
Right. Yeah. Make the entire thing, because when you travel, there's more to than you just walk in a straight line. You sleep, you walk, you sleep, you walk.
That's actually a very good point to remember, is that it's very easy to get misconstrued that when people are walking through the wilderness, they're walking in a straight line. There's some trees on the other side of you, and you continue walking. Like, you're not. You're traversing through a wilderness. You're moving around hilly terrain to get a faster path. Like, terrain can change, and if terrain changes, multiple different circumstances can change. Going into certain territories that belong to, some kind of alpha apex predator is 100% possible. Like, if there's a giant open field, maybe players will second guess things like that if they ever encounter, I don't know, a manticore, because it's easy ground flying across the sky. It's very easy. A bullet as well. Just like, what's gonna stop a bullet? What can stop a bullet?
A
Plot points.
lot of hitting it. A lot of hitting it. Of course, you had to bring up the lead. Dylan's favorite enemy.
I love them so much.
It's actually not terribly long ago did manticores as a random encounter. So they were in a forested area, but still plenty of room for the manticores to move around and fly and all that. So yeah, we do have some chat.
Oh yeah,
activity.
that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Some good roleplay moments present themselves during which characters take their night watches together. Absolutely. Yeah.
Typically. No, go ahead.
Oh no. Yeah, I do like the idea of suggesting people take it in shifts. You have someone watching it back in case you pass out, and you have someone to tap you on the shoulder if you're too tired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I don't think, both for how much time it takes and also just what makes sense for the mechanics, I don't tend to do everyone takes a watch or anything like one after the other. It's usually you can get a full night's rest, the 8 hours, with a certain amount of time of activity. I don't have it open right now for the exact numbers of light activity. You can still get stuff. That's why you can be woken up in the middle of the night, have a combat that lasts a few minutes, and then you can still get back to sleep and get a full night's rest. But usually you can take an hour and a half, 2 hour watch and then still get a full night's rest. But that means not everybody needs to do that. So pair up, have 2 people take a watch at a time. You end up only having 3 watches, maybe 4 watches for the evening, and everybody still gets the rest, but you get those opportunities for what are you doing while y'all are watching. And it heightens the odds that one of them rolls a decent perception check in case you're throwing in an encounter at them or something.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, if there are 2 characters that, as a party, you kind of collectively, when it comes to encounters, very rarely will combos kind of come out. And I'd say it for lack of a better term, but when people are inside pairs and they're facing inside a dangerous encounter, they tend to rely on each other because communication is immediately streamlined. And so it's kind of interesting to have 2 people immediately together. A little something comes their way, and then they rely on each other to handle it. And that opens up more role-playing moments.
Yeah. It's it's crazy though. Sometimes just saying, okay, the 2 of you are taking watch together because they chose. I'll take second watch, and okay, so you both roll perceptions. Everything seems to be okay. You doing anything during that time? You just let that kind of silence drop for a second, and one of them will just turn to the other and say something, and suddenly they have a conversation. And that's all it took, was just a little bit of silence, knowing that everyone else is asleep. Maybe they never had a chance to really talk to each other before. I think it's great for roleplay opportunities. Taking night watches, or say they're going out and they didn't think about getting rations, and they're like, you know what, let's go hunting or fishing, and they pair off and do that while everyone else is setting up camp. That's another good RP moment, not just a survival role.
Yeah, exactly that. Like, it's actually I really like that idea. I was like, that's kind of cute, man.
Yeah. And from a DM's perspective, like I said, having only like 3 watches to roll for makes it easier.
Oh, that it does.
So you're not rolling 6, 7, whatever watches. Yeah, I think having 2, 3, 4 watches paired people up.
Yeah.
And if someone just like, you know what, I'm just gonna sleep through the night, maybe the party's like, okay, they had a hard day, or maybe they're like, dude, pick up the slack.
Yeah, exactly. Which could vary from character to character for sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There's something I would love to say. It's in the comments over here that became very difficult for me. Was visible biome changes or a fun flavor text, and I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
I love the concept of changing the description to put everyone as, and ambiance goes a very far way out in the wilderness in any degree. But when we were playing Out of the Abyss, where you guys are in the Underdark, and there are 2 chapters in a row where it's literally just wilderness. You just travel. There's one you travel through the Underdark for the longest time, and then there's the Dark Lake, where you travel along the Dark Lake for the longest fucking time. And so I was looking, I just had to like eventually build myself like a dictionary Bible. And I really hate that I built it up too late inside it. But to be like, how do I explain the Underdark a little bit differently from one kind of environment, other than just like, colors and things like that? Like, how do I describe moss and damp kind of areas and caverns and size?
Yeah.
So yeah, like that is a fun flavor text. But I'll be honest, getting into it, I battled at first. I really did.
It's a difficult thing, and I was terrible at it first. I feel mediocre at it now. I'd love to get much better at that, because it's an entirely different experience as a player if the DM can really paint that picture. It's the second thing I wrote down to talk about was over describe, talk about the environment, because not only does that bring them more into it and they can kind of picture, oh, this is the kind of landscape we're walking over. Oh, we can see snow-capped mountain tops off to the side. We know because that mountain range always has the snow caps on it because of the elevation, normally not because we're far north or anything, or there's wetlands off to this side, so there's humidity in there. Things like that bring them into it. But it's also good because you can give environmental hazards and stuff. Traveling is not always just, do they encounter a monster or bandits or whatever. Sometimes it's, you're going through a mountain pass and there's a felled tree and you've got a wagon.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? And maybe they have good ideas. They roll really well. Sometimes they roll a natural one and, oh crap.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, shit.
Yeah.
I pulled my back. The fighter pulled his back.
Right. Yeah. Maybe the road is not really well kept. It rained recently, so there's some potholes that have formed into the dirt. They break a wagon wheel and no one has the mending spell. So now they have to figure out what the hell to do about that.
And if not, if they're very quick to, to react to that before they get involved with it, very creative use of spells. People can get really creative to like fix natural environments. And,
absolutely. So yeah, it's tough. There is pressure to describe a lot of things because it's so effective. But if you're not good at it, I want to improve on that, because some of the DMs I have a lot of respect for, that's like their thing they do really, really well, is describe things beautifully and paint this picture of what's going on and what's around you and everything. And it's amazing to me. But fortunately, a lot of the books describe the environments. Don't be afraid to read that. Some of, not just you go into a room and there's like 2 sentences that describe the room. That helps. I recommend expanding upon it a little bit, not just what they say. But a lot of times in the intros to some of the, like Out of the Abyss and things like that, they'll tell you what the environment is like, what to expect to see, how much bioluminescent fungi is there or something.
Well, I mean, Out of the Abyss gives you, I think, like 2 pages of different fungi, of like the color, the taste, the texture for some of them, the smell, how big they are. It's awesome. Like it's I do really love that adventure book. I miss it. Like I miss that campaign.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Bedlam's got a good thing in there: mosquitoes, dehydration, exposure to the elements, the monsters you didn't prepare to fight. That's true. I remember I mentioned this time or two ago. Tomb of Annihilation is a really good module. I recommend it. It's a lot to bite off because it's got this whole hex system where there's different places on the map and a million things can happen. But it's a really, really interesting module. But what would happen?
Sorry, no, my brother Lyle is here.
Oh,
it's
hey.
Lyle! Hey, Lyle. Thanks for joining us, man. You made me interrupt Casey, you ass. Sorry, Casey. Lyle, I love you so much. Thank you for coming in, man.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Always good to have someone join in.
But I'm so sorry, sir. Please continue.
No, yeah. One of the first times I thought about that as a player before I started DMing was the DM running that had us. We needed a guide, and the guide, one of the first things they said is, okay, we're going into the jungle. You need mosquito nets. You need, so on, all these different things, certain topical ointments and things for when you do get those bites or whatever in the jungle.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, didn't even think about that kind of stuff. But if you don't naturally, the players don't think about that. That's a fun thing to throw at them.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't think about heat exhaustion or bugs or things.
Weather could have an absolutely nasty effect on people, and not just on you. Like, what's pulling your wagon if you have a wagon?
Yeah.
You have 2 horses there, living creatures, man. Like, look after them. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happens if they get tired? They don't have a water source. They get overheated. They get attacked in the middle of the night.
They're frightened, and they start veering you off course.
Yeah, I had a group get attacked at night. They were in Lehman's tiny hut. Wonderful little spell.
Great spell.
Their camels were outside, and wyverns were hungry.
Why are the camels outside?
Because they can't fit in the Lehman's tiny hut. It's too small.
Shame. The camels out.
So they had to figure out defending their camels against wyverns while not wanting to get too engaged in a combat with wyverns because they are nasty customers.
Yeah.
They did a pretty good job. I think they only lost 2 of the camels. So.
Okay. I mean,
worse.
It's still
could
sad.
Worse.
Poor creatures.
Yeah.
Bedlam, I'm not even going to read that.
No.
Bedlam, I'm not even. Fuck you.
I saw it and I was like, no, we're not doing that.
Bloody being clever than us, you piece of shit. So I was having a look through Out of the Abyss for this particular conversation that we're having. Solely because a lot of that is based around the wilderness, and they start to offer good examples of how to keep things interesting outside of sort of monster encounters, of which there's bloody plenty inside that book. But one that is very particular, and it's kind of sticking to the narrative, but you can 100% do it into the book in any particular way, and that's having a long-term chase, and it gives like a chase meter across with the drow trying to find their prisoners that escaped, which are you guys.
Oh yeah. That was like right at the beginning.
Yeah, and so they give you like a 5, like you're 5 points ahead on the chase meter. But every time you guys stop to like investigate an area or something, or you find a particular, there's like something that could slow you down. Taking the safer route instead of the quick and dangerous route, that could slow you down. But also, like, if you eventually crossing over a bridge and you guys are safe, cutting down the bridge and dropping it, that's going to set the drow back.
Yeah.
And so having that as a constant thing, I mean, it does kind of take the peaceful part out of the wilderness exploration out of it, but it is a nice way to, like, really engage with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it could also be modified in the idea of you have a competing adventurer group, and you guys are racing to one particular area, and so that's also a lot of fun. To, like, what's slowing us down, what isn't, and
yeah. Occasionally, I mean, you can overdo it sometimes to the point where the players never have downtime. I've done that before, but the having a clock on things actually does a lot for getting the players really kind of more into it or anxious, I guess, not in a bad way, but more engaged, because they're like, no, we've got to do this. We have this X amount of time to do it. They have a general idea maybe of the time, but maybe they don't know.
Sure.
One of the, I think, first big times I had been leading a certain group mostly directly to certain places. There's one way to get there, and then they got to one and they were presented with 3 entirely different routes. Like, you go this way, it's much safer. It's going to take a little bit longer in all likelihood, depending on how well you can traverse it, but it is much safer. There's this, which is highly dangerous, because all of these things could go wrong, but you will save this amount of time. And then there's kind of a middle one. Now, most adventuring parties are not going to take the long, safe route. No. Because why would they do that? Now, maybe they will. There are groups out there that would do that, but just as a DM, in my experience, they're not going to do that. In fact, I would say more often than not, they're going to pick the quick and dangerous route because they're more concerned about saving time. Um, so you have, is it environmentally dangerous? Are they going through a territory, like you said, of some dangerous predator, or is it just filled with bandits, or
Yeah, they're starting to see bandit murals along the trees and
yeah, or
scrolled
a
across the
goblin
mountain.
clan or something, yeah, or whatever, yeah. Oh yeah, describing as they go into certain areas, territory markings and things like that, perception and history and insight
Or
checks that
just a
thieves can't. Yeah,
giant creature in the middle of nowhere, but it's fucking just dead and like eaten apart.
oh
It's
yeah,
like, oh, what killed an elephant? Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I've used an already injured creature to kind of foreshadow something else, like it had spears and stuff in it, and it got away. So they encountered a scared and angry creature, which they did end up fighting. There wasn't really much of a choice given to them in that situation, but it was already hurt. But they were able to look at it and investigate. Okay, this is the kind of tool that's or weapon that's normally used by the gnolls in this area, or whatever. So you can, little encounters like that can hint toward what they're about to get to. Uh, Random encounters can be random, but it's fun to set little things into it. The bandits that come after them, maybe what did the bandits have on them? Was there a note in their pocket that happens to be they had a bounty
Yeah.
to stop your group, or
A little letter saying, "Dear Papa, will you be
oh,
back in
yeah.
time for the solstice?
I mean,
Mother's cough has gotten worse."
I mean, that's the kind of thing I do to my characters. But you don't.
You Witcher 3 playing motherfucker.
Well, I did it before I ever played Witcher, but
that game is just so great at making you.
Not to say that I haven't taken some ideas from it. It's brilliant, but
rightly so.
but yeah, that's I like the idea that every single character you bump into has a life.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just terrible people, and their life is simply that they're a bandit. But sometimes they're a bandit because they need to make money, and that's the only way they know how.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it does the world for the players as well. When I don't know, there's a history behind people that, for no reason, they got to communicate with.
Yeah,
it means a lot. It really does.
Yeah.
But,
you said there's something good there.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't want to think that we were ignoring them. I just really liked what we were talking about. Groucho Porks! Thank you so much. You're the best. Really appreciate the subscription. Good to see you, by the way. Thank you for joining us.
Love the name.
Groucho Porks. Groucho Porks is the shit. So yeah, Riptide asked, where do you draw a line between giving details about an area as an open description or saving something for a perception check? And I think that's very good. I think that's a brilliant question.
That is a great question.
Yeah, I would say when it comes to something like perception, very rarely what anyone would want to do a perception check would be closer to something more specific, i.e. they're looking for a particular flower or herb, or are there any animals around, are they being followed, things like that. I think open description, you can just use your vernacular in order to create a good what's the word I'm looking for, like just a good mental image of where you guys are at. And in a perception, I would save details of anything that could be like based on utility.
Yeah, no, that's true. No, that's actually a good way of doing it. Yeah. You can, if you felt so inclined, have two different sets of either in mind or written down. If I'm going to describe the room this way, and if they roll perception, I will add these details to it, so you can prepare yourself ahead of time, which is usually, I would say, easier in, say, maybe a dungeon setting than it would be just out in the wilderness.
For sure.
But yeah,
I think another way of doing it is that perception relies on a player's senses. So anything that would be very particular to them, like the smell of lavender, because lavender is the greatest. I'm using lavender as an example. The smell of the lavender that you pass by, or something that specifically their sense, like any sounds, like particular sounds, things like that. I would leave that open to rolls. To paint a perfect picture is as if you were showing them a painting. I think is a nice way of doing
Mhm. Yeah, and then looking into more detail, it's like, oh, you can see there's dewdrops on those lilies
it. There we
that I
go.
described.
Yeah.
And
Anything higher than a 20,
yeah,
moisture.
yeah. But tailoring it to the individual player or the character, what they would notice specifically,
Yeah.
as a ranger from this kind of environment, your favorite terrain is
Favorite
this. You
terrain.
would notice this about it, that this happens to be a nature trail that comes through here. So like clearly there's some deer or other fauna that goes through here regularly, things like that. They would know as a hunter or a ranger, they would know something like that. I wouldn't necessarily add something in there
Mm.
to my regular description, but when they ask something like that, I'm like, okay, what would the ranger notice about this place? Tracks and trails and things like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like you said before, something that's more utility based. What
Yeah,
if you're looking to do something with this environment? What would be useful to you?
exactly that. Yeah,
Yeah,
if you're looking for any kind of
yeah,
information, anything that could pertain to um, a sense of progression. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but I would say that. Oh, there we
yeah.
go. Someone, Bedlam himself. Is there a smell of smoke on the wind? Yeah, something like that will rely to that player is searching for something. That's a role, but you
Yeah.
wouldn't really mention it as you guys are walking on through.
Yeah, typically, and I think you started with making this comment, typically someone is going to ask something specific, not just,
Yeah.
can I make a perception check? And if they do ask that, as a DM, I would highly recommend ask them, what are you trying to perceive?
Yeah.
Like, what's this perception check for?
Yeah. I guess.
And if it's like, I just want to see what I notice, well, you can be as vague as they are with that. They roll a 27. It's like, well, you notice these extra things, but until they specify what they're really looking for, then you can give them an answer that's more specific.
Yeah.
Like, the smoke thing, like they know they're approaching an army or a burnt down town or so on and so forth. They ask, do I smell smoke? Roll a perception check.
Yeah.
And you can be, if they roll that 25, 27, whatever, it's like, yeah, you can smell faint burning smell, but you would also notice this does smell like burning wood, or
Yeah.
there's something else to it. It's a burnt hair or flesh or something, like something's
Yeah.
cooked, which usually is an ominous thing when you're describing
that smells like protein.
that.
Yeah. You know what? Take this with a pinch of salt, but it's how you would describe an environment versus how you would describe something to perception check would be how you describe something to the player and how you would describe something to the character. It's very
Okay.
because you're painting the environment for the players. The characters know where they are.
Yeah.
When it comes to the
No,
perception check, that's what. Yeah, that's like reading a book. That's like the character's chapter in the book, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. Yeah, the initial description is so the players know where they are.
Yeah.
A specific perception check is, what do the characters notice that's unique? Cool. I like that. That's a good differentiation. I like that.
Yeah.
Question, yeah, if one of the other players smells really bad, you've been traveling.
You want to talk about roleplay moments?
Yep. What else? I wrote a ton of stuff down actually, and we've jumped all over it.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this one also in a previous thing. Doing traveling like team checks to get places.
Okay.
Have an idea maybe of how long it'll take them to get somewhere, but ask people each day, what are you doing to help travel? Are you doing anything?
Yeah.
Are they, it's like, well, I want to be up front doing this and that or whatever, but it opens them up to say, I'd like to use, is there a way I can use my survival skill? And they're like, okay,
Yeah.
how are you going to use your survival skill? You're looking for any particular trails or tracks to go through to make it easier and a smoother travel, or you're looking for, maybe that's survival. But maybe they want to use their perception to make them go quicker while they're trying to perceive hazards ahead or potholes or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like, I got really good animal handling. Well, maybe they're the ones that are guiding the horses or the dogs or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And if, say, someone's, the high charisma bard or sorcerer or warlock is like, well, I want to persuade the horses to go faster. Like, you can do that. You can make it a non-animal handling check. I would just recommend making the DC for
higher.
success a little higher.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they're maybe used to convincing people, but you know.
But I mean, animals can sense charisma. They can sense like an energy to somebody.
Right. It just may be a little bit more difficult.
100%. Yeah, I wouldn't deny that. I won't deny anyone.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun.
I tried. For those that I'm in the episode where you say this doesn't come out until tomorrow, but over this weekend I broke into your house, and as I was coming back out and closing the door, whiskey ran out, and I'm just like, it's a cat. They do this.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't want to risk anything though. So I tried rolling persuasion of like, come on, come back inside.
Yeah.
It didn't work. So then I tried animal handling and got down, was like all petting and stuff. And Whiskey was like, all right, you're cool. And then went with me back inside and I closed the door.
Oh, thank you, Ed. Yeah. I mean, he's totally fine outside, but I appreciate you.
Well, yeah, I say inside. It was back into the garage area, but yeah, it's still just, it's like, it's a cat. It could probably leap to the roof, but I don't want to be that guy who accidentally lets your cat out.
No, don't worry about Whiskey. He runs this bloody neighborhood, dude.
There you go. But yeah, lots of opportunities. Some players, they just don't feel like they have a useful traveling skill, but see how creative they can be,
And if not, just give it a shot anyway. So what if you fail?
Yeah. Maybe their stealth is really good and they want to use stealth, and like, you know what? You're doing your best to make sure that you're not leaving a lot of tracks behind as you travel in case someone's looking for you. You tie some brush to the back of the wagon that drags behind and obscures your tracks, something like that.
Absolutely. You can help with hunting if you're stealthy. Done.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, survival covers a lot of things, but you could do some more specific things with other skills. Yeah,
for sure.
You could do a dexterity check to set a trap. Maybe it's easier as a survival check, and you just adjust the difficulty rating of it as a DM, but doesn't mean they can't succeed.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's clever. I'd suggest that for sure. Yeah, that's actually very clever, Bedlam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they Tuscan Raiders?
Of course.
I do the comment before, the person who's good at survival keeps you pointing in the right direction. Yeah. High perception follows the trail better. Maybe looks out for hazards or enemies. It could be, or like I mentioned, felled trees, things like that. Which you could always turn a fallen tree into a trap with enemies. That's a classic.
Yeah. Classic robbing spot.
Oh yeah. And then characters speak with animals, ask the chipmunks where the hidden cave entrance is. See, there's a shocking amount of times, maybe not that shocking, but a shocking amount of times that I've gotten that question, that very first one shot I did.
I was about to say, bro, I remember specifically our gnome left the party to go and ask the squirrel about the caves.
And, they rolled fairly well, and the squirrel gave some general, just what would a squirrel kind of notice knowledge, but it ultimately wasn't that helpful because it was a squirrel.
Yeah. Not the smartest little dudes.
But I mean, you never know. The squirrel might have noticed, hey, big, ugly things walked that way, Maybe that speak with animals does good. Just remember you're talking to a creature with, maybe magically modified intelligence by the spell, but it's still pretty low.
100%.
Yeah.
I also just want to point out, on our little stream avatars at the bottom there, Groucho Porks is my favorite Final Fantasy character.
Oh, I gotta see. I'm not even paying attention to that.
Oh, no.
Where are you
it's Red 13.
Oh, Red 13. There we go. Okay. That's your favorite?
I love Red 13, dude.
It's a good character. I just wouldn't expect that.
Yeah. I was really bummed when you couldn't play with him in the first...
the remake thing. Yeah. I mean, spoilers. I don't know. He shows up.
Yeah, he's there. He's
Yeah,
like, I do additional stuff. I'm like, that just makes you cooler.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But so something I would love to talk about, um, that to bring up on the concept of traveling, and now this is a specific example, and it just happens to involve my favorite creature of all time. Because we're traveling through the Underdark. There was
Uh-huh.
a period of like where you guys were kind of divoted. There was a sort of divoted area where there was soft ground, but you guys are kind of walking along the cavernous sides.
Yeah,
And you guys
yeah.
felt the tremors of a bullet, of a land shark, going on
Hmm.
through that, knowing that that was very dangerous territory. And I love the idea of like planting something that, I mean, this also really applies well to any kind of like archipelago kind of situation, maybe, or
Yeah.
like swamp or marshland, like inside the water. There's something really big and really scary, and it's stalking you.
Hmm.
And I think that's a great way to spend a lot of time traveling because people are going to be on
Yeah.
guard, and if they're not on guard, you have a hell of a fight on your hand. Like either way, it's going to be
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, there's one thing to have the chase meter thing where maybe someone is hunting you or another group is going somewhere, but to actually have a predator that knows this environment way better than your party does,
Mm-hmm.
actively hunting you. That's like, what do they do? Do they keep moving and just keeping an eye out? Do they try and engage it? Do they try and hide from it and hope it moves on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that can you're being hunted thing is, I think that gets down to like our animal core of like, oh shit, I need to be scared.
There's something natural about it. Of like, I don't like it.
Yeah,
I want to be the hunter.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be the hunter. This is not okay.
Yeah. I've been trying to think of another great example of along those lines of how they could be kind of modified in terms of. I mean, I guess that is kind of a modification of the chase feature anyway. So.
Yeah, in a way, because there could be things they could do to alter. Is it still hunting them? Does it get it disinterested? Can they outpace it somehow? Things like that.
Yeah.
You could make a slightly modified chase meter to it, or do they try and hide and hope it loses track of them or
Yeah,
something?
buggers off. Goes looks for
Yeah,
food somewhere else.
yeah, yeah.
You know what else is just a great way to spice up traveling now and then?
Hmm.
Lore.
Yeah.
Find old ancient ruins, a burnt down
Yes.
church with some old documents inside it.
Yeah.
A strange field that it's the middle of snow, but there's just some plants growing here for some freaking reason. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's is yeah, just throw
They
in
find
shit
a
every
they,
now and then.
they find a fairy circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's don't. I think hopefully the takeaway from this is there can be bigger things that you can talk about during travel, or they can encounter during travel, that may be campaign relevant. It may be lore relevant. There's usually someone, at least one person in the group, that is very interested in the world lore and planting things like that.
Yeah.
This is depending on what world you're using. If it's a homebrew, or if it's one of the ones, yeah, that's set up. Forgetting names of things, Forgotten Realms, things like that. Um, these places have been lived in for millennia, so
Yeah.
there are those things, those ancient ruins. Sometimes maybe it's just a ghost town, and maybe the ghost town has ghosts, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
Maybe they just wander around and look at the town and find, oh, this kind of paints a little bit more of a picture of what this land is like, or what it used to be like.
Yeah.
You have your own version of a gold rush town that is just completely, they mined it out, it's gone.
Yeah. Another
But
piece on that.
yeah, but also did something move in?
Yeah.
It's a man-made cave, but that doesn't mean something isn't going to go, hey, look, there's a cave, that looks cozy. So
It must be
that's,
kind of cool that there's an actual ghost town. There's ghosts, and there's only one
yeah.
inhabitant, and he's a bard who just stays there to play music for the ghosts every night.
That's
just to ensure
fantastic.
that they have something and that they're happy because he
Yeah,
just feels bad. And so there's just
yeah.
one bar, and he spends the day going to get food, and night he plays music for free.
That could be fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's travel's a good time to put in just like you said, kind of because you brought up bullets now twice. Um, a if you want a creature that you always wanted to try out, and it makes sense for the environment, or you could justify it being there.
Mm-hmm.
Travel's a great time to toss that in there and have them do something. Is there a one shot that you always wanted to try, and you could have it be a side quest somewhere? They come across a traveler that needs their help, or they get a choice between different routes, and one of the routes takes them into such and such,
Yeah.
whatever it is, the ruins or the town or whatever it is for a one shot you wanted to try. Does it affect the whole end or campaign? It doesn't have to. You could work it in. Maybe it has something related to it, but it doesn't have to. I would still, they should get rewards and stuff for doing it. But let them find some treasure, and maybe gain a level depending on how difficult it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've mentioned, I don't know if I've mentioned it in one of these chats before, but I've mentioned it to you before, doing a random side quest that I was like, oh, this could be fun, I guess. That character is near something of their background, so I should probably do something for it. Ended up becoming a huge, big, like, event side quest that had some backstory effects, and I was just like, this works perfectly. I'm gonna put all this stuff in there. And then I also opened up their world a bit, because up to that point they've been fighting very they're fighting Durgar and orcs and gnolls and
The
a baby dragon and kobolds and goblins. And on that one, the idea of extraplanar entities and demons came up, and that's a whole different mess of things that have auras and spit venom and have acid blood. And it's like, things can be a little crazy. And I think, what was I using? Was it the Bulazao demon, the one that has like a stench aura? They get too close.
Yeah, he's got like little horns, like hoofed feet and little horns and a spiny tail that he can shoot spikes.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a goat with a spike tail and stuff.
Yeah, they're terrifying.
Someone's having a fight outside the house.
Oh shit!
I can hear them on the street. Sorry,
right.
Doors are locked. I might worry about
it. They don't like demons. They were just
yeah. Start talking about demons, and the guy's like, "No, we're not talking about demons.
Not in my neighborhood. Get on, get."
See, they've already shut up. They're probably yelling at a car passing by.
Yeah. Or they were watching a stream.
Oh, maybe it's a town where you detect undead spell picks up a bunch of zombies around every corner, and even underground at the town square. Yeah, there was a bit of lore that I was using for a particular dungeon, and they had no real reason to go to the town that had been affected, because the town was, like, centuries ago had been obliterated by an evil necromancer and so on and so forth. But on the way back, they're like, well, we could save time going through this town. It's more direct, which is also kind of my fault of, like, I'm going to put it kind of in the way too, because who knows, maybe they do. I didn't necessarily think they were going to do it, but they did, so I had some ideas ready for it. I didn't expect them to do detect undead, because there's a cleric. I was like, you detect undead. It's like that moment in Aliens where it's using the motion detector thing, and you sense everything.
Jesus.
Like, there's too many blips. It's like a fog. This town is entirely buried undead.
Oh my god.
And then it became a little bit of a chase sequence of, let's roll to run out of this freaking place.
Yeah.
Well, it started out stealth, and then someone failed, and then it became a chase sequence.
Of course.
It was good. It was a fun little moment. I wasn't sure what they would do, but that's why they were chasing someone who had run out with something they needed. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's probably my fault, but either way, it was fun.
Hey, if it's fun, it's fun, bro. End of story.
And you know what? They saved some time running through the town that way, didn't die in the process, and they caught up to the guy, so that's good.
There you have it.
If they hadn't caught him, that could have had some effects. I mean, they caught him, so that also had some effects. But...
Yeah. The beauty of this game is that it'll always have something to look for.
Yeah, making travel fun and interesting can be a little difficult sometimes. It can be, you can feel obligated to do it. Again, like I said at the beginning, you don't have to do anything with travel. You can use it purely as a, what do you want to get done while you're traveling? I've had some players work on, one of them was teaching the other one how to speak another language and use a rapier or something that they were not proficient in.
Sure.
So were they able to learn that in 5 days of travel? No, but
they're on their way.
Kept a tally as they went along. How long have they been doing it? Have intelligence rolls or performance checks or something to see how well they can pick these things up. And maybe along the lines, DM, you say, you know what? After all of that training, you are now proficient in with a rapier.
There you go.
No other martial weapons, but that one you specifically trained in. You put the time in and did it. Here's your, good job. You had a teacher. Or you ended up learning another language. You're not going to do it in a single trip unless they're some amazing polyglot or something. But
maybe
part of their backstory is they're a polyglot. Who knows? But yeah, I have a ton of other things written down. But let's see. How's the chat doing?
There's a lot of cute moments here from Bedlam. Bedlam, you're on fire tonight. It's nighttime. I know what time it is. It's not a nebulous concept to me.
Maybe the time is neighbors yelling at you as you pass by. Yeah.
Maybe so.
Yeah, and you can, as far as encounters go, a traveling merchant who's going from one town to another. Maybe they have something interesting with them. Maybe they have pets. Maybe they have knickknacks that are from a different part of the world that you normally would not see here. You can expand the world.
Yes, expand the world, please.
Yeah, they've got some really unique stuff. And sometimes if you're looking for a way to get characters to start, or players, not characters either, to start thinking about events that are going on in the world, bump into travelers. Maybe they're hearing as they're going by, people are talking about, did you hear about what happened to that town? Those guys just moved in and started killing people or whatever. You hear those things as you travel.
Oh, this big family name, this noble house, they're dead.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, that sucks.
Sometimes the tavern is not the only place to hear rumors. Sometimes you hear it just out and about.
Out on the road. Someone looking to share a fireplace for the night because they're heading in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Do you trust someone to sleep next to them? Are you watching them? Yeah. Are they trustworthy? Are they going to steal stuff from you in the middle of the night? Or were they just someone who needed a warm space and they have some apples they can trade or something?
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you notice there's a lot of people coming your direction, but not a lot of people going the others? Why are people migrating this way? Are they fleeing something? Are they heading to something? Is there an opportunity that was behind you? Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some fun stuff you can do with it.
Yeah.
There's some fun stuff you can do with it. And I had to mention, of course, it's a great time to drop in like dream sequences and stuff, or
for sure,
their deity speaks to them, or their patron, or maybe they're going through something right now, and you can just reaffirm that they're going through stressful times and saying that they have these nightmares or whatever. It doesn't have to be a direct contact. Maybe it's just reminding them you're in a weird headspace right now because of this and this or whatever. Yeah. Have fun with that.
That's always good. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, there you go.
encounters.
You embed
Yeah,
them at the exact same moment. If you're on your way to a town and you run into a line of refugees going the other way.
yeah. Yeah, what are they refugees from? What's going on?
Yeah.
And just make some fun encounter tables or find encounter tables places. The official books have encounter tables for environments.
DM's Guild.
DM's Guild does. You can just search on the internet encounter table D&D 5e and you'll find lists of stuff that people have made and you can pick and choose.
Yeah, D&D Beyond, the forums in D&D Beyond are incredible.
Yeah,
and people
absolutely.
are very communicative and very helpful there.
There's some of the subreddits like specifically for dungeon masters on Reddit and also have some decent stuff in there. Also some weird stuff and dumb stuff because it's Reddit, but
of course
there's some really great shit in there too.
Yeah, roll the die, man. See what Reddit gives you.
There's some really great stuff there, but some weird stuff.
Yeah, there's some weird shit on Reddit.
But yeah, no, it's a lot of times if I'm looking for inspiration for some of what we're talking here, that's things that pop up are D&D Beyond forums and Reddit.
Reddit, of course.
Actually I didn't end up bringing it up in case we ran into a spot where we didn't know what to talk about. I pulled up, I found in a Reddit thread a link to something that was written in 2013 and posted that had 200 plus random campsite events.
Whoa.
And yeah, just a bunch in, let me see, was it 200? It says 200 plus. There's exactly 200.
Okay.
That's a misleading. Okay, it's only 200 options. But most of it's, I was looking at a couple, most of it's actually, it looks like it's intended to bring something else about. It's not just, oh, this one event happens. It's specifically like, let me just look at one and give an example because I'm not going to try and make something up when there's 200 options here.
Sure.
Let's see. Oh, during a full moon, an object covers a quarter of the lunar surface for half an hour. It's just a random thing, but what could you do with that? Why in the world would something be blocking out part of the moon?
There's also these somewhere on Instagram they post things like that of like
yeah
they'll post like this one small thing happens, this happened as a result, and it's like that's just their idea of like how to start something if you want it. Yeah, which I think it's cool as a community thing because it gets people just nerding out together. But
and because I mentioned it to give credit, it was something, the website's called Zenith Games. But yeah, it was written 9 years ago. But there's stuff in here that can definitely incite some possibilities. It may not be good for a random roll mid-travel, but when prepping for travel, like the party's going to be traveling next session for a couple of days, let me roll a D200 on Google or whatever, and then suddenly they roll 129 and 3 deities appear out of nowhere.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I didn't read the rest of it because it was just bad, but not bad as in not of high quality. It's just bad events.
Negative.
Yeah, the point being, there's lots of, so many people have voiced their opinions or given their creative insights out there that if you just find yourself drained or at a loss for ideas,
reach out.
The internet's got some free stuff out there.
Yeah. It's a beauty, but it's fucking free, man. There's so much free content for D&D. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Like, it's such a great community.
Oh, it is, absolutely.
I'm also very lucky that we get to play it at this age, where there's enough people interested and there's means of actually sharing it. We're lucky, man. We're lucky, man. We're grateful, man. I don't know why that's the voice of that character, but
I don't know. Yeah, don't be afraid to travel. It can be fun. You can work it into your campaign. You can test stuff out during travel that you always wanted to try.
Yeah.
Uh, you can get into the minute details of what does traveling actually entail,
Mm-hmm.
and how do they handle it.
Or you can
Um,
speed it up.
or you can just speed it up.
Speed it on up.
Anything you want. Once players get above level 10, maybe into 12, 13, 15, whatever, uh, yeah, there's not there's not a whole lot out there they're going to encounter in the wild that's going to harry them too much. So you
Maybe.
make it a quick thing. What do you want to do during this time?
Yeah.
During those lower levels, there's a lot more opportunity. Now you could make interesting things happen to high level characters as they're traveling if you want to.
For sure.
But I would personally, I tend to cut it a little short once they get to that kind of high level.
I mean, that makes sense. If there's not going to be any true conflict. I mean, we've mentioned this in the previous chat. At what points do, I guess, like, beasts become superfluous in terms of challenge rating?
Yeah.
And they're typically what you would find out. I mean, when I say the wild, I mean beasts out in, the open expanse from city to city.
Yeah.
But...
It does, yeah, it does depend on where they're going, too, because I did have a roll table of a couple of events that could have occurred to a group that I think they were like level 17 at the time.
Yeah.
Because of where they were traveling. There are some things that you could easily throw into that world that could be a problem.
Yeah.
They didn't end up encountering this, but I had an option where there was an Annis hag, which is like a CR9 hag,
yeah.
which level 17 it's not too bad for him, but the thing is it had a herd around it of a particular type of creature that had a death gaze ability that could really screw a party up.
No, yeah.
But they did encounter it. They didn't roll for that, and so it didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like the Sea Hag. I think Sea Hag's what, level 3? Challenge 3? The Sea Hag's very low in challenge rating, but it can make people like frightened, like a group of people frightened, and then just...
Yeah, you put it in the right environment. Some of these things, their CR rating is irrelevant because they have their environment to boost it.
Yeah, and then, one death stare to a frightened creature, they dropped. They're out.
Yep.
Nasty stuff.
Yeah. Anything else to cap it off? I think I got to most of what I wanted to say about making travel fun and interesting.
Yeah.
Have a weather table to roll. Is it rainy? Is it misty?
Yes. And if you need examples, just look at the change weather spell.
Yeah.
Like, it literally tells you, like, severity and what they can do. Like, that alone just has so much for you to look at. So just look at the change weather spell and decorate it out. And, I'd recommend getting your, oh, I fell out of focus there. I'd recommend getting you just a good little word Bible for environmental descriptions, going from one to another. You know, instead of cold, there's cold, frigid, frost, rime. You know, just build up other things, and that always helps. That always helps.
Is it a biting cold? How do your fingertips feel? Things like that.
Yeah, exactly that.
Realizing you need to cover your nose because it's getting
your
frost.
Ears, your poor ears. Ugh, I hate that. And you know what? I think it's best to leave it off from Bedlam's quote. Is it raining? Is it snowing? Is it a hurricane or blowing? Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody.
Yeah, and
Cheeky
join
bastard.
us tomorrow at 5 p.m. PST for, I think, pretty exciting episode at the start of 2 exciting episodes.
Yeah, I think we actually have an episode before that.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, it's the one where...
I don't know what's going on anymore.
No, you're doing great. It's a good place for us to be. There's a lot of tension in the air, and it's pretty emotional, but there's also just a lot of great growth from everybody. it's kind of nice to see. It was one of my favorites to do because we were all just like
Oh wait, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, we
developing
would.
together. Yeah, it was honestly it was quite nice.
That's right. There were a couple episodes in there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Man, I forgot. We had like 5 episodes in that city.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Well, we're having fun doing crazy shit.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
it sets up something great that is coming in the
yeah.
future.
Did we ever plug our buddies, one of your players and a former player in the campaign's podcast that we were on? Did we plug that at all?
Oh, no, we should get on that.
We should plug it right now.
Yeah,
Like
good shit with Warren and
good
Grayson.
good shit with Warren and Grayson. You
Yeah,
can find it on podcasting thingies.
Yeah, any
I
kind of
listen.
podcasting format, Apple
Yeah,
Podcasts, and
it's on Spotify.
yeah, we had the pleasure of joining them to talk about D&D. Grayson,
Yeah.
who is a dear part of our channel, Warren, who was at the inception of it as well. Casey and I, we just sit down and enjoyed just a really good chat about D&D, the origins of it, our relationships to it. It was good. It was a fun.
It was fun.
It was a fun session. It was exciting. I mean, it's always fun with the two of them. They're both bloody brilliant at what they do. But
Yeah, I mentioned it. I think it's a good sign of a decent podcast where I don't think there was a single moment of silence during the entire thing. It was just back and forth, constant talking for, I don't know, hour and a half or whatever it
yeah, I
was.
think we came close to the 90-minute mark on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
it was good stuff, man. It was good shit.
If we ever get tired of doing the whole like in-face Twitch thing, we'll just switch to a podcast because that was fun.
Yeah, it was, right? It was a lot of fun.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it really was. So go check them out. Go check out Good.
Yeah, check them out.
My finger looked huge there, sorry. But yeah, go check it out.
Warren and Grayson. They got a couple dozen episodes on there or something. So.
Oh yeah, they're in the like 30s and 40s. They've been doing it for a while now, and they're bloody good at it. It's hilarious.
Their setup was nice. It was good microphones and everything. Made us sound real good.
They just know what to do as well. Like they just know their equipment and everything. It's wonderful to see. And they're changing up their format, I think, for the show now as well. It's something that they mentioned.
Oh really?
Yeah, like they want more guest. They want more guest characters on and stuff. So.
Oh okay, yeah. Good idea.
Yeah, I'm not close.
It's not bad. I say that hoping I'll get invited back someday.
I'm sure you will. They're very fun to do, man.
I had a lot of fun, so
Yeah.
yeah, go check it out. They're a fun couple of guys, so
Oh my God, yes.
yeah. They talk about good shit, a lot of stuff, movies and
It does come
nerdy
down
stuff,
to a lot of like
shows.
reviewing and whatnot, and it's brilliant.
I think some music as well, and yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, go check them out. Go check us out tomorrow, Tuesday, 5 p.m.
For an episode with content.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah, and then you'll see us again on the weekends for more video gamage with my brothers, probably playing something scary and shitting myself. But until then, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everybody inside the chat. It was nice and so Bedlam, that nap did you good. That nap did you good. You were on it. So yeah, thanks everybody, and cheers. We'll see you later. Thank you to Groucho Porks for subscribing.
Yes.
Really appreciate you.
Yes.
And thank you for Lyle coming out. Appreciate you, man.